Can we please stop with the Colorado hype? The Buffaloes were the biggest story of this last offseason because of the massive hire of Deion Sanders and the massive amount of transfers that he's bringing into Boulder. But it's leading people to believe that the Buffaloes are going to be Pac-12 title contenders, maybe even national title contenders. So much so that the Buffaloes have the sixth most amount of bets placed on them to go on and win the national championship. That's ridiculous for a team that went 1-11 last year and were outgained by an average of 229 yards per game. The Buffaloes certainly will be better in 2023 than they were last year, but Pac-12 favorites, national title favorites, or even contenders, not a chance. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad that you could join us today, ready to break down the Colorado Buffaloes, a moment that many of you have been waiting for with, again, the talk of the offseason. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the country over there, beating out over 80% of the national analysts and handicappers each of the last 5 years. Go check out our Patreon account as well for exclusive college football content year-round. Become a member of our Patreon Wall of Fame and just take advantage of it as a part of our GE Nation. And speaking of the GE Nation, represent your team in our background as we continue to expand it, continue to add more gear. Check out the address down in the description below. Send us some gear to be represented so we can continue to grow our GE Nation from coast to coast. So let's take a look at Colorado. Look, I've got nothing against the Buffaloes. I've actually been a slight Buffalo, Colorado supporter for most of my life. I will tell you that I'm a big fan of Deion Sanders. I love what he did at Jackson State. I love what he's doing at Colorado. I love what he's doing with the brand and the marketing scheme. It's fantastic. I mean, the amount of hype and attention that Colorado football is getting is unmatched. It really has never been to this point. So credit to him for doing that. But for anyone that believes that Colorado is going to come out and just play lights out football in year one with all these players that are never played together, it's just not realistic. You take a look at what they're bringing back, guys. I mean, they don't have anything coming back. There's no need to even talk about the starters coming back because there aren't any. Shedeur Sanders comes in at quarterback. Of course, the son of the head coach, Deion Sanders, had 26 starts during his time at Jackson State, threw for over 6,900 yards, 70 touchdowns, just 14 interceptions. So he's very accurate. He's a great quarterback. We actually had him ranked in the upper half of Pac-12 quarterbacks heading into this season. They were fantastic to the transfer portal. Kavosiey Smoke coming in at running back from Kentucky. Alton McCaskill coming in at running back from Houston. Travis Hunter, of course, coming over to play wide receiver and cornerback as well. Might play both ways. It's going to be phenomenal for Colorado, and the offense will be light years better after averaging just 15.4 points per game last year. It was downright abysmal. The defense, kind of the same way. They were garbage last year. 44.5 points per game is what they gave up. Allowed a record-setting 510 yards per game, but they had 8 transfers on the defensive line. A defensive line that had 9 sacks last year. Derek McClendon transfers in from Florida State. Jordan Dominic transfers in from Arkansas. That's just naming a few key pieces on that defensive side of the ball that are going to give this team a big, big help. Colorado, guys, has been to 3 bowl games in the last 17 years. They've had 2 winning seasons in those last 17 years. They're 5-21 in their last 26 games. They went 1-11 last year. Half of their offensive line is under 290 pounds. The same kind of goes for the defense as well. It's a lot of transfers. It's a lot of growing pains. It's going to be a rough year for the Buffaloes. You take a look at their schedule, it is brutal. I'll tell you right now, I think they start 0-2. 0-2, opening up against the national runner-up in TCU and then taking on Nebraska. They lost to TCU last year 38-13. It's kind of funny because Colorado was actually playing good ball. They outgained TCU in the first half, outgained them 212-67 in the first half, yet somehow we're trailing 7-6. Ultimately, TCU woke up in that second half, 138-13, then went on to play in the national championship game. So I don't think they're going to have enough with all these key new pieces going on the road in Fort Worth. I just don't see it happening. Same goes for Nebraska, a battle between 2 new coaches in Deion Sanders and Matt Rule now with the Cornhuskers. But I really like Nebraska in this game. I think Matt Rule's a heck of a program builder. They've got a great quarterback coming in, and Jeff Sims transferring in from Georgia Tech. I think he's going to do great in this offense. This is a Nebraska secondary, guys, that actually surprisingly only gave up 225 passing yards per game. So secondary was kind of stingy. Should be again this year. Matt Rule, known on occasion for his defense, a pretty solid defensive-minded guy. I like Nebraska to get the win in Boulder in this old Big 12 matchup. So just like that, the Deion Sanders era gets off to a poor start, and if you had money on Colorado playing for a national championship, well, it's gone. 0-2 start, even if they won out, they're not making the college football playoff. 0-2, I do think they get their first win of the year, the first win of the Deion Sanders era in week 3, where they take on Colorado State. Their first meeting against their in-state rival since 2019. Colorado has won 5 straight against the Rams, and if you thought 15.4 points per game was bad for Colorado, try Colorado State's 13.2 points per game last year. The Rams were terrible offensively. Imagine if these two teams had played last year. I don't know who I would have picked. But Colorado, to me, across the board, has way more talent than the Rams right now. They've got home field advantage here. The game's not going to be played in Denver or anything like that. So they beat the Rams, and Colorado is 1-2. First win of the year, first win of Deion Sanders' career in Boulder, and just like that, they've matched last year's win total. How about that? They go on the road to Oregon the next week. They'll lose that, and then they'll lose to USC. I mean, again, there's not going to be much of a competition there. On the road in Eugene against a team they lost to by 39 points last year, Bo Nix should light up this defense. USC, arguably the best team in the Pac-12. Caleb Williams back as a Heisman Trophy winner from last year, once again a contender this year. Defense that should be improving. USC beat Colorado 55-17 last year, and I just don't see the Buffaloes even having a shot in that game. So they come out of the month of September at 1-4, lone win over Colorado State. But if you look, their next 2 games against Pac-12 opponents are pretty favorable. They're against teams that also are breaking in new coaches. Arizona State breaking in Kenny Dillingham. Stanford bringing in Troy Taylor. Neither team expected to have much success in 2023. I will say right now, I think Colorado actually goes on the road and beats Arizona State. I like their odds in the desert, which is not an easy place to play by any means. But this Arizona State defense last year gave up 31.4 points per game and gave up over 420 yards per game as well. Only 5 starters are back on that side of the ball. The secondary is pretty solid. The front 7 is what really concerns me. Now, I can see Colorado's running backs. I mentioned Kavosiey Smoke coming in, Alton McCaskill coming in, Shedeur Sanders dual threat capability as well, giving this Arizona State defense some issues. I like Colorado across the board here, and I might even like Deion Sanders as a coach more so than Kenny Dillingham right now. He's at least got head coaching experience, something Dillingham doesn't even have. So 2 great offenses, or at least offensive minds going at it, but I like Colorado to get the win over the Sun Devils. They get their second win of the year, so they've doubled last year's win total. They've got a conference victory, and guess what? They're going to win consecutive games because Colorado will beat Stanford the very next week in Boulder. Stanford is going to be really, really bad, guys. Arguably the worst team in the Pac-12 this year. This actually, Colorado-Stanford game could be a battle between who finishes last in the conference, but I really like Colorado a lot in this game. Stanford doesn't return any talent, just 6 starters total coming back. The offense is going to struggle mightily. It's a quarterback battle between 2 guys that have a combined 31 pass attempts. It's going to be a rough year for the Cardinals, no doubt about it. Colorado at home is significantly better to me on both sides of the ball. Home field advantage is just the icing cherry on top. They win that game. They are 3-4, still below 500, but have now tripled last year's win total, already showing improvements. They've doubled last year's conference total. Their lone win last year came against California. They've doubled the conference total here, so Colorado's looking solid, at least from an improvement standpoint. They come out of their bye week with 3 wins, need 3 more wins in the final 5 games just to go bowling. That's, I guess the hope, I guess, in Boulder is at least to go bowling, right? And I'm going to tell you right now, Colorado's not going to win any of their last 5 games. We'll just go ahead and lay it out there and hit some quick hitters on that. They're not winning, to me, any of the last 5 games. They go on the road to UCLA, a team they lost to 45-17 last year. The Bruins now bring in the heralded 5-star quarterback in Dante Moore. They return 9 starters on defense. Maybe the best defense of the Chip Kelly era now. They've got the quarterback that's going to fit his system perfectly. It's on the road in LA. I just don't see Colorado having enough to take down the Bruins. Then they take on Oregon State, who they lost to 42-9 last year. I could see this maybe being a trap game for the Beavers, especially if their offense isn't up to par. DJ Uiagalelei, in theory, is a quarterback upgrade for the Beavers, but we did see some inconsistencies during his time at Clemson. That defense, though, for Oregon State, certainly going to be a force to be reckoned with. So I can see it as a trap game for the Beavers, but I really like this team a lot. I got a team that won 10 games last year, carries a lot of momentum into this year. Overall, across the board, Oregon State is the better team. They just can't afford to overlook the Buffaloes. I don't think they will. Colorado then hosts Arizona, another possible winnable game. They only fell to the Wildcats 43-20 last year, but This is an Arizona team that's going to flirt with bowl eligibility. They showed a lot of improvement last year in year 2 under Jed Fish. Jaden Delores back at quarterback after throwing for over 315 yards per game last year. The defense is downright awful, and this could see a high-scoring game in Boulder, but I still like Arizona across the board. They've got a veteran head coach, at least in his 3rd year with the program, veteran quarterback, guys that have played at this level and played in this conference and actually played together more so than Colorado has with just all these transfers coming in. Give me Arizona, and then those final 2 games are on the road, so Colorado doesn't lose on Senior Day. At Washington State, Pullman, not an easy place to play. Washington State returns Cam Ward. They return Nakia Watson. They return Jake Dickert as their head coach, and Jake Dickert doing a phenomenal job with that Cougars defense, one that only gave up 22.9 points per game last year, so I don't think Colorado putting up enough points, especially on the road, to win that game, and they're certainly not going to put up enough points against the stingy Utah defense, one that might not just be one of the best in the Pac-12, but one of the best in the country. 9 starters back on defense for the Utes. Utah beat Colorado 63-21 last year. The games in Salt Lake City, where the Utes are 26-2 over the last 5 years, just don't like Colorado's odds at all in that game. So, you know, the back half of that schedule is really, really brutal. If Colorado wants to make some noise and kind of keep people hyped, they're going to have to make it early. We think they win 3 of their first 7 games. We do think they win 3. You can make an argument they might beat Nebraska, maybe get that 4th win, and then maybe they beat Arizona and get 5 wins. But to me, 5 wins is the max for the Buffaloes this year. The max. I do not think this team has enough to go bowling. I don't think they have a case at all. I think we have kind of overblown this Colorado team. We've put too much stock into the Deion Sanders hire. We've put too much stock into the quality transfer guys. The guys coming in are good players. There's no doubt about that. But it is hard to win and win in such a tough conference with a group of guys that have never played together. And as we mentioned, the line of scrimmage, Colorado, extremely small and arguably very weak at that point as well. Both offensive line and defensive line. You can't win games, especially in this conference, if you're weak in the trenches. But regardless, Deion Sanders comes into Colorado, makes this program immediately more competitive than they were last year. Keep in mind, this is a team that's 5-21 in its last 26 games. He comes in and immediately triples Colorado's win total from last year. So 3-9 for many looks really, really bad. Not a good year at all. But it's a solid foundation for this young Buffalo squad. Next year could be the year the Buffaloes take a major step forward. Not to a Pac-12 title, not to a national title, but to a bowl game, to more consistency. I think Sanders could be the right man for the job, but year 1 is going to feature a lot of growing pains, and it's going to show that all that hype was, needless to say, for nothing. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. Our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the country. Go sign up for those today before the season gets going. Also, check out our Patreon account for exclusive college football content year-round. And of course, our address. Send us some gear to represent your team in every GE Nation video from coast to coast every single day. Make sure to take advantage of that. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.